We've all been there. The message lights up your screen. His name appears and your heart skips a beat. Your mind starts racing. What does this mean? Is he thinking about me? Is this the moment I've been hoping for? But before you reply, pause. Because this moment right here is where so many people make the mistake that pulls them back into the exact cycle they swore they had escaped. This isn't just about love. It's about self-trust, clarity, and choosing you over temporary emotion. When someone from your past suddenly reaches out, there's a moment, just a split second, where you feel something in your body before your mind even has the chance to process it. That first flicker of emotion, whether it's excitement, dread, anxiety, or confusion, is not random. It's instinct. An instinct isn't just a gut feeling. It's your subconscious pulling together everything you've experienced, everything you've observed, and everything you felt to give you an immediate, unfiltered truth. The mistake most people make is not trusting that instinct. They override it with logic, fantasy, or desire, and that's where things begin to spiral. Imagine this. Your phone lights up and you see his name. What was your very first feeling? Did your stomach tighten? Did your heart sink? Did your breath catch for a second? Those reactions mean something. They're not just emotional glitches. They are signals. They are your body trying to communicate what your heart might not be ready to accept. Because when someone hurt you, confused you, or made you question your value in the past, your body remembers. Even if your mind tries to romanticize the connection, instinct often comes from a place of truth that you already know deep down. It's built from past experiences, patterns you've seen play out, and emotional truths that were never fully spoken. When he reaches out after silence, distance, or even hurt, your instincts don't ask, what if he's changed? They usually whisper, you've seen this before. But so many people silence that whisper. Why? Because hope can be louder than truth, especially when it's wrapped in the voice of someone we once gave our heart to. You have to understand, that initial gut reaction is not meant to scare you or push you into defense mode. It's meant to center you. It's meant to give you a moment of clarity before emotion takes over. But instead of listening, people start analyzing the message, rereading it for hidden meaning, fantasizing about what it could lead to. The brain takes over and starts spinning stories that justify ignoring the truth you already felt the second you saw that name on your screen. That's where the danger lies, when instinct is drowned by desire. Because once you start negotiating with your gut feeling, you've already started to betray yourself. You begin to question your own clarity. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I should give him the benefit of the doubt. What if this is different? And while it's true that people can change, the real question is, has he shown you change, or are you hoping for it? Instinct doesn't work on hope. It works on reality. Let's be honest. There's a reason you're hesitating. And there's a reason you're even asking yourself whether or not to respond. That's your signal. If this was someone who had consistently shown up for you, treated you with respect, and made you feel emotionally safe, your reaction wouldn't be hesitation, it would be certainty. But when the first feeling is doubt, confusion, or fear, that is not something to ignore. It's something to explore. What makes this so hard is that the instinctive truth often contradicts what we want to believe. We want to believe the message is sincere. that it means something, that it's a step toward reconciliation, healing, or a new beginning. But instinct has no interest in illusions. It only reflects the emotional reality that has already been built. If your instinct says, be careful, it's not sabotaging your happiness, it's protecting it. This is why building a relationship with your own instincts is one of the most powerful things you can do. It's not about being cold or guarded. It's about honoring the wisdom within yourself. Every time you've been let down, every time you've been misled, every time you ignored that quiet feeling that said something was off, that all adds up to a library of emotional intelligence, and your instincts are pulling the book off the shelf and opening to the exact chapter that matches this moment. You don't need to justify your feelings. You don't need to explain why something feels wrong or uncertain. Your body knows what your heart might struggle to articulate. That quiet discomfort, that sudden tension in your chest, that small unexplainable voice that says, be cautious. That's your intuition doing what it's supposed to do. So before you reply to that message, pause. Before you let your mind start dreaming of reconnection, ask yourself, what did I feel the very moment I saw his name? That answer is worth listening to, because your instincts don't lie. They don't sugarcoat, and they don't lead you backwards unless there's something worth going back for. If that first feeling was anything but peace, you owe it to yourself to pay attention. Your instincts are your truth. All you have to do is trust them. When someone from your past reaches out, especially someone you once had deep feelings for, there's often a temptation to see it as fate. Maybe it feels like the universe is aligning, like the connection you thought was lost forever is finally making its way back. But that feeling, however powerful, is not always a sign of opportunity. In many cases, it's loneliness in disguise. And if you're not careful, you might confuse that emotional hunger for something meaningful. This is where so many people make the mistake of interpreting a message or a call as a second chance, when in truth, it may just be a repetition of an old pattern. Loneliness is powerful. It doesn't just make you miss someone, it makes you rewrite history. It filters your memories, amplifies the good, and silences the painful truths. Suddenly, you start remembering how you laughed together, how he looked at you that one time, how connected it all felt. But you forget the sleepless nights, the mixed signals, the lack of effort. That's the illusion loneliness creates. It turns emotional absence into longing, and longing into hope. The problem is, hope without evidence is a trap. When someone contacts you after a long absence or after things ended without real resolution, it's easy to think, this means something. He must have been thinking about me. Maybe he realized what he lost. But more often than not, that contact isn't about love. It's about convenience. It's about familiarity. It's about filling a gap in someone's life, not creating a future together. And unless something has genuinely changed in his behavior, mindset, or intentions, you're not stepping into a new chapter. You're rereading an old one, hoping the ending will be different. You have to ask yourself, why does this message feel so important? Is it because it truly reflects change and growth? Or is it because you've been feeling alone, emotionally disconnected, or uncertain about your worth? These questions matter because your answer reveals your emotional lens. And if that lens is tinted by loneliness, everything you see will be distorted. Think about it like this. If you were in a place of emotional fulfillment, feeling loved, confident, supported, would this message feel as significant? Would it carry the same emotional weight? Or would you see it more clearly for what it is? A check-in, a random outreach, a moment of nostalgia on his part. When you're grounded in self-worth, you can recognize the difference between a meaningful gesture and a momentary impulse. But when you're hungry for connection, anything that looks like it might satisfy that craving becomes hard to resist. This is why emotional honesty is so important. You need to ask yourself, am I responding to him? Or am I responding to the emptiness I've been feeling? Because if it's the emptiness, then no message from him will actually fill it. It might give you a temporary high, a rush of dopamine, that feeling of being wanted again. But what happens after? What happens when the conversation fades or his actions don't match his words? You end up exactly where you started. Still lonely, but now also disappointed. Inside, the truth is, when someone reaches out, it might not be about you at all. It might be about him feeling lonely. It might be about him checking to see if you're still emotionally available. It might be a comfort thing. Knowing you're still there, even if he doesn't plan to fully show up. Don't take a message and turn it into a movie. Don't write a story from a single scene. You deserve more than someone popping back into your life when it suits them. If this contact really is an opportunity, it won't just be words. It won't be vague promises or emotional nostalgia. It will be consistent, intentional action. It will be someone showing up differently than they did before, not just talking about change, but demonstrating it. And if that's not happening, then the message isn't an invitation. It's a test. A test of how much you've grown, how well you've healed, and whether you've learned to choose yourself over the comfort of the familiar. So the next time he contacts you, take a breath. Tune in. Ask yourself, am I excited because this feels right? Or am I reacting because I've been emotionally hungry and this feels like a chance to be fed? There's a huge difference between love and relief. One builds you, the other only soothes you temporarily. And you deserve the kind of connection that nourishes your heart, not just your loneliness. Choosing not to respond, or at least not rushing to, isn't about playing games. It's about making sure that your next step is rooted in truth, not temptation. Because when loneliness speaks louder than self-worth, you risk walking straight back into the arms that once let you fall. When someone reaches out after time apart, especially someone who once held a significant place in your heart, it's natural to focus on their words. The message might be sweet, nostalgic, or even apologetic. It might sound on, ignored, or made to feel like an option. Then his words cannot be your guide this time. In the past, you may have given the benefit of the doubt. You may have clung to promises, believed in potential, and justified contradictions because you wanted to believe. But if nothing else, that experience should have taught you this. People can say anything, but only their behavior tells the truth. When he says things like, I miss you, I've been thinking about you, or I've changed, It's tempting to believe him. Those phrases sound sincere, they sound vulnerable. But here's the question: what are those words followed by? Is he making real space in his life for you? Is he showing up consistently, not just emotionally, but practically? Is he demonstrating change or just talking about it? It's one thing to say he's sorry, but it's another to show he's different. Change is not declared, it's proven. A lot of people confuse attention with intent. Just because someone reaches out doesn't mean they have the intention to build something healthy, lasting, or respectful with you. Sometimes they reach out because they feel lonely. Sometimes it's out of curiosity. Sometimes they're just bored. And yes, sometimes they genuinely miss you. But missing someone and being ready for them are two different things. Words can express longing, but actions, think about how he treated you before. Did he follow through? Did he respect your time, your feelings, your boundaries? Did he show up when it mattered or only when it was convenient? If he's saying all the right things now, but you're not seeing any meaningful effort, no planning, no consistency, no clarity, then it's likely that nothing has changed except the way he's communicating. That's not progress, that's performance. And here's something else to consider. If someone truly values you, they won't put the burden on you to figure out what they mean. Their actions will be clear, direct, and aligned with their words. You won't have to analyze texts, reread conversations, or guess where you stand. Confusion is a sign. If you're constantly trying to decode what he really means, that's not connection, that's emotional labor. A man who is truly ready will make it easy for you to trust the direction things are going. That doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean grand gestures. It means consistency. It means follow through. It means effort that's sustained, not just in the beginning, not just when he wants something, but every single time. Because real change is not about flipping a switch. It's about choosing different actions again and again, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. When you base your decisions on words alone, you put yourself at risk of falling into the same cycles. He says what you want to hear. You soften, you open your heart, and then over time, you start to see the same patterns re-emerge. The effort fades, the inconsistencies return, and you realize too late that the only thing that changed was the script. You deserve more than promises. You deserve partnership. And partnership isn't built on conversation alone. It's built on actions that show commitment, respect, and emotional maturity. So before you let his words sweep you off your feet, ask yourself, is he showing up differently than before? Or is he just talking differently? That question can save you from months or years of repeating emotional cycles that you've already outgrown. Don't settle for potential. Don't get caught up in the beauty of his words. Give yourself the space to observe. Watch how he handles your boundaries. Watch how he follows up. Watch whether his energy stays consistent after the first few days or weeks. Time will always reveal the truth that words try to cover. And if you don't see the consistency, the alignment, or the effort, then don't convince yourself to stay hopeful based on promises that never become reality. Your heart deserves more than beautiful words. It deserves behavior that backs them up. Every time. When someone from your past contacts you, especially someone who had emotional significance, It can feel like a wave crashing in, fast, overwhelming, and difficult to ignore. Your instincts kick in, your heart races, your mind floods with thoughts, and suddenly you feel like you need to make a decision right now. Should you respond? Should you ignore it? Should you give them a chance or protect your peace? In that rush of emotion, one of the most powerful tools you have is something so simple, yet so often overlooked. The pause. Taking a pause isn't about playing games or being cold. It's about reclaiming your power. Because when emotions are high, clarity is low. If you respond immediately, you're reacting, not responding. You're letting the moment control you rather than using the moment to reflect. And when someone from your past reaches out, especially someone who may have caused confusion, pain, or emotional turbulence, you owe it to yourself to respond from a place of clarity, not craving. The pause allows you to check in with yourself before checking in with him. It gives you a chance to ask the hard questions. What do I actually want right now? Am I excited by this message because it feels good? Or because I've been feeling lonely? Am I emotionally open to this person, or am I just longing for connection in general? Without that pause, those questions never get asked. And when they don't, we often fall back into old patterns, guided by emotion rather than intention. In the past, you may have felt like you had to answer right away. Maybe you didn't want to seem rude. Maybe you felt pressure not to lose the moment. Or maybe you were afraid that if you didn't respond quickly, the opportunity would vanish. But consider this. If someone reaching out to you is truly ready, truly sincere, and truly changed, they'll still be there after your pause. Someone who's serious about showing up for you won't vanish if you take a day or two to reflect. But someone who's just checking in for attention, validation, or convenience will disappear the moment you don't respond immediately, and that tells you everything you need to know. That pause becomes a filter. It separates the emotionally impulsive from the emotionally intentional. It creates space for you to observe instead of absorb. When you don't rush to reply, you allow your higher self to speak. The part of you that has grown, healed, and learned from past experiences. You give yourself room to recognize the difference between genuine reconnection and emotional bait. People often confuse responsiveness with emotional availability. Just because you can respond right away doesn't mean you should, especially if this person once made you feel like an afterthought, left you hanging, or only showed up when it was convenient. If they didn't give you clarity before, don't offer them immediacy now. The pause is your boundary. It says, I value myself enough to think this through. I don't owe you instant access to my energy, especially if you've mishandled it in the past. What many don't realize is that this pause is not just for evaluating him, it's for reconnecting with you. It allows you to return to center and ask, how am I feeling about myself these days? Am I grounded in my self-worth? Or am I looking for someone else to make me feel valued? If you're in a vulnerable emotional space, you might interpret the message as a lifeline. But if you're in a strong, self-validated place, you can see it for what it really is. Just a message. One that you can consider calmly, not clutch onto desperately. Pausing also resets the power dynamic. In the past, you may have felt like your value was tied to how quickly you could respond, how available you were, or how much effort you could put in to keep the connection alive. But now, in your pause, you reclaim your autonomy. You remind yourself that your energy is sacred, and not everyone who knocks deserves to be let in. You're no longer chasing clarity from someone else, you're creating it within yourself. The beauty of the pause is that it invites intentional living. You're not just reacting to life as it comes, you're choosing your responses based on alignment with your values, your boundaries, and your growth. That pause allows you to be still long enough to feel whether this moment is about truth or temptation, whether it's an invitation to build or a distraction that pulls you off your path. And if after that pause you choose to respond, you'll be doing so with strength, not desperation. You'll be able to set boundaries with clarity. Ask the right questions and observe his consistency without needing to rush anything. You won't be swept up in the fantasy of what is, because you'll be grounded in the reality of what is. This doesn't mean you have to close yourself off completely. It just means that you approach old connections with new wisdom. You don't let emotion blind you to what you already know. You trust your process, your healing, and your right to move slowly. Because when something is real, it can handle your pause. It can handle your silence. It can handle your discernment. In a world where everything moves fast, where people expect instant replies and constant availability, your ability to pause becomes your superpower. It protects you from repeating the past. It guards your peace. And most importantly, it honors your evolution. So the next time someone from your past reaches out, don't rush. Don't let the flicker of old emotion override your present power. Take a deep breath. Take a step back. And take your time. Because that pause, that's where the truth lives. That's where your strength speaks. And that's why you choose not just whether to respond, but how to respond. In a way that honors who you are now.